welcome to today's video where we build our own chat application from scratch using Nest. And we're using Nest because Nest is a very powerful backend framework built on top of Node and Express, and so it's not here to really replace them but to just structure them. Why I love using Nest and why I think most backend developer would agree with me about Nest is the fact that Nest helps you to keep your project in a structured way that is easy to maintain and it's easy to scale. It doesn't wait until you are way beyond your project for you to start thinking about maintenance. Nest enforces this from the word go, and so that is why I think most developers working on large scale applications love using Nest. And so Nest uses WebSockets, and it uses gateways, and gateways are essentially similar to controllers when you're working with REST with just HTTP requests. But for building chat applications, using HTTP request has some limitations, and the limitations are HTTP is request response based, but we don't want this for real-time communication. Each time you have to send a request for you to see what happened, it really creates you're going to need to make a lot of requests. And so for this, actually not many, I'm pretty sure all chat applications use these sockets or WebSockets, and also real-time dashboards uses WebSockets for it to achieve the real-time communication. The thing that you have to remember about WebSockets is the fact that it is a persistent connection, right? It does not close. It once you've established the connection, the lines stay open and you can send requests back and forth. And don't confuse request with the HTTP one. And so for this, we're going to need to create a package.json which essentially is going to be used by our Nest to initialize the project. What I love about Nest is the fact that it has a set of tools that you can really use to initialize the project. You can use to work around with it, and even we're going to see. So we're going to install globally Nest CLI like that, and what this does is just it installs okay, so it says that, sorry for that. Okay, I see, we need to include the NestJS for it to install. Remember, if you can always look at the documentation so that you don't miss the naming. And essentially what this does is that it installs the CLI tool that we need to interact with Nest projects and that you need to work with Nest. And so when that is done, we can now use the Nest CLI, which just type Nest, and using new we can create a new project like that, and this initializes it, and it asks you what package manager you're using. It's important that you select the one that you're using. Currently I'm using pnpm, but you might be using npm or yarn. It really doesn't make that much of a difference in our project here, so for me I'm just going to select pnpm. And now what it's doing is that it's initializing your whole project structure. And this is what I love about Nest. When you take a look at a sneaky peek here, you can see that it has initialized all the files that we need and the folders that we're using, and it also has spec files which essentially are used for testing, end-to-end testing, and everything here. It installs all the dependencies that you need, and when you look at the package.json, you can see everything that we need. For the dependencies, we have the NestJS common and the NestJS core, which are just the specific dependencies that we need, and the dev dependencies. And once it's done, just completes everything, the installation, everything, and then that's it. We can start using Nest. And when we run pnpm start dev, which you will know by looking at it here, we can test if our application is okay. So it's not found. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, we need to get into the directory where our project is, and when we run that, yeah, it starts, and we're just going to see if our app has been initialized well. And what does it say here? Okay, yeah, I know I have something running on that port. When you're at home, you do not need to change the port number because I'm pretty sure yours is okay. So what I'm going to do with mine is that I'm just going to change it to 01. I have another service running at port 3000, that's why it refused to connect. But for you at home, I don't think, unless you also have something running on port 3000, you don't really need to change it. But yeah, you see, our Nest application has was started successfully, and that's it. Imagine with just running Nest generate, it's able to scaffold all of this for us, which this is what we call boilerplate. If you are working in Express, I know that there are some packages that and libraries that are there for you to be able to scaffold an Express application, a generic Express application. But for us, we use Nest, and I think it's great. Okay, so Nest by default is a TypeScript, which is good for type checking and everything, so that's what we're going to be using. Right now, we need to create here a folder, and we're going to call it chat gateway, like that. And inside this folder, excuse me, inside this folder, what we're going to do is that we're going to create a chat gateway. Okay, I'm just going to call it chat. Okay, let me call it gateway for easier, for better self documentation. So chat gateway.typescript, and we are also going to create chat gateway.module. Sorry about that. The TypeScript, like that. And here we're just going to use the module from NestCommon, yeah, and like that. And we're going to export the class chat gateway module, like that. And we are going to come here. Okay, so before we forget, we need to also import here the chat gateway module, so that way it gets registered in our application. And when you look at it here, it says chatway module dependencies initialized, which is amazing. So we're going to come here, and essentially what we're going to do is that we have to put a decorator called WebSocket. Okay, before doing that, we need to import we need to download the necessary libraries that we need to work with WebSockets and socket.io in NestJS. So let's do that very quickly. So here we are going to look for NestJS documentation, and most of the times when you want to work with something to do with NestJS, you can always be guaranteed to find whatever you're looking for in the documentation, so embrace that. And when you come here, you can see what we need to use, what we need to import. And so I'm just gonna copy this, and let's stop the server for now, and let's install the dependencies, the libraries that we need, the dependencies that we need here. And that is going to install, and let's give it some minutes, some seconds actually. Yeah, and once that is done, we are going to have a WebSocket gateway, and this is a decorator, and we're going to export class chat gateway like that. And so let me explain something here. So what this does, what WebSocket gateway is similar to controller, the controller decorator when we are dealing with REST API, when we're dealing with the HTTP. But for WebSockets, we use the WebSocket gateway. And here you can define the port manually and say, for example, by default now it's going to listen to requests or listen to events in port 3001, the one that I just said. But if for any reason you have your own custom port, or you want to specify the port, you can just specify here, and maybe you want it to listen at port 4000, it's going to do that. But for me, I want to listen at port 3001, the one that my app is running on. And for now, I'm going to start the server so that it refreshes every time I make a change. Okay, so one thing we want to do is that we want to use the subscribe message decorator, which essentially what we're just telling Nest is that we want you to listen for these messages, or we want you to sort of pay attention to this message, if that makes sense. And we're gonna call it to new message, and like that. And down here we're going to say handle message, or let's call it handle new message, like that. And it's a function, and like that. So this function, we need to use the message body decorator. And the message body decorator, what it just does is that it embeds the content that is going to come from our client to this body right here. You can type annotate it if you want, but for us you can just put it any for now. And essentially what we're going to do here is that for now we're just going to log the body like that. And yeah, that should work. So what you have to make sure that is working is that the chat gateway module has been initialized. And one thing we need to do for our class to start functioning is that we need to come here at our module, and in the imports, actually no, not the import, sorry, in the providers, because that is a provider, and we can just use the chat gateway like that. Yeah, and no, yeah, it's like that, chat gateway. And this is going to, and you're going to notice something here, chat gateway subscribe to new message. Let me just zoom this actually. I don't know, I hope this is not too much zooming. Let's just, yeah, look here, we see chat subscribe to new message, and that's what we want. So for testing we're going to use Postman. And Postman is really good at testing. It's a very nice developer tool for backend developers, so I'd recommend using it. And since this is it's a socket we're using, and since we're using WebSockets from Nest, we cannot really use a normal REST client to test this, because remember, this is not HTTP, this is WebSocket. And so we're going to come here and create a new WebSocket, make sure it's WebSocket, and I'm gonna click here and make sure this is set to socket.io, because remember, under the hood we're using socket.io. And we're going to put it to localhost 01, because that is where we are sending our events to. And we're just going to click connect here, and you should see this message that says connected to HTTP, and that basically means that we are connected. So if you want to send messages, right, you need to add here an event name, and the event name has to be the same as what you called it here. So we're going to say new message. We're going to set it to new message, and let's say hello world, and let's send that. And when we come back here, we can see here, I don't know if it's visible, but you can see here that we have hello message. And ladies and gentlemen, we just set up our first WebSocket, and we can see the message. Already you can start to see the many use cases that we can use this. Already you can start to see our chat application come to life in a way. So you can take you can take Postman to be like our front end. For now, let's just assume that this is our front end. This is the front end part. This is the client part of us. So assume that you're sending a message, and assume we just sent hello world, and our server was able to see it here. So what we are going to do for now, we are going to first of all, we're going to implement on gateway connection. And once we say implement that, we need to write our own implementation of handle connection. We're not really taking our own, but overriding the one that we have. And here what we are going to do is that we are going to use socket like that, and for it not to get a bit confused, is that we need to use socket from socket IO, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to import socket from socket IO, and I can see here it's not installed, so let us install it. Real socket socket.io, not socket.io, like that. So here we can see that the dependency has been installed. So here what we will do is that we are going to just log, I am sorry about that, we're just going to log the ID of the client, and we can also say connection successfully, like that. Connection successful. Let's just say connection successful. Sorry for my terrible grammar there, like that. Connection success, I think it's a single L, and I'm just addicted to semicolon, so. And then we're going to start dev. Yeah, so the Nest application has started successful, and we're just going to come here, and since the server had started, it just disconnected for a bit, and we're going to connect. And once we are connected, when we come back here, we expect to see the ID of the client and connection successful, and this is great. So that's done. The next thing we need to do is we need to create we take these are called decorators. We need to create a WebSocket server decorator, and then we're just going to call it server, like that, and we need server to come from socket.io. This is very important, because if it's not coming from socket.io, it's going to be typed with the wrong type annotation, and we don't want that. And so with that, we can be able to, with that we can be able to, let's say okay, let's not put it there. We can come and do here, instead of just logging the message, what we can do is that we can take this server, like that, and say emit, and here we can emit a message on message. So this is the event that we are going to listen for, or this is the event that we're going to emit, sorry, not listen for. And you can decide to send a JSON body, and let's just say message, new message, like that. And let's come here and say that I don't know, content, right, and just send the body, like that. Okay. And yeah, so I know you can see this error here, which is generated by TypeScript, and this is usually when you put your TypeScript configs to strict, and it says here that the property server has no initializer and is not definitely assigned in the constructor. So why TypeScript is screaming this to us is because even though we know that using this decorator in Nest already initializes this server under the hood, TypeScript doesn't know this, and for us to stop it from screaming, we need to put an exclamation mark there, which essentially tells TypeScript, hey, trust us, believe in us, we know that it's going to be initialized. And we also know that it's going to be initialized because we know that the WebSocket server decorator does that for us. And so let's come back here and let's create a new WebSocket um, a new WebSocket request here, and remember again, put it to socket.io, and we're just going to copy this URL like that, and we're going to connect to it, and also here we're going to connect to it. But what we're going to do here is that we're going to listen to event, and what is the event? On message, and turn that event on like that, and now it's listening. And now when we send this, what I expect to see here is that we can see the message, right? We can see the message that was sent to us, and we can see the content and the message basically. And if we wanted this to send messages as well, we could just come here and do this in the message. We create here, and we say it's the event is new message, and we can say hello back like that. And when we send that, we see it also shows us in our current session, and it also sends to, okay, that's interesting, we do not see it. Oh, okay, yeah, if you want to see it, you also have to listen to the event that's coming. So here we say it's new message event and set it to listen to that. And now when we send, we expect to also not see. Did I type that wrong? Let me see. Oh, okay, again. I just did that the wrong way, like that. It happens to the most of us anyway. Now it should send. So when you say hello back like that, so let's just send that. I think did I send it twice? Yeah, I sent it twice. Anyway, the point is you're going to see it here, and let's just send another one so that it's clearer. Let's say hi, and we can see it in our side, and we should be able to also see it on the other side. Great. And so right now we've set up the basics gateway. In our next session, we're going to enhance this. We're going to go further than this. So hope you stick around, because we are going to go deeper into WebSockets in NestJS. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.